A little while back, I started to think about why I don't play Super Mario Galaxy more often. I mean, I played it before ever playing Mario 64, and I've probably played more of it. It's such an awesome game, I'd really like to play through it again. But there's just something missing.
The backwards long jump. I need this thing to survive. If I can't go crazy on a funny angle and then go flying, I'm not sure I'm gonna make it. If there's no stairs to skip, no Wilco clip, I'm not in. Super Mario 64 has survived as long as it has because of its responsive controls and its simple yet deep movement that provides a virtually endless skill ceiling to the platforming.
Once you figure out how to control Mario, it becomes one of the smoothest platforming experiences out there.
You do a long jump over here and a side flip up there and get crushed by a boulder, it's awesome.
It can be tough to play other platformers after this, even other mainline Mario games.
Additional abilities can feel tacked on, changed ones might feel unbalanced. It just doesn't feel right. When I tried to play through Sunshine for the first time, the controls felt sorta twitchy, but also slidey. The FLUDD just kinda seemed slow and boring.
It wasn't Mario 64, so it wasn't fun.
I really hated that Mario 64 spoiled me out of enjoying what's clearly a fantastic game. Eventually, after forcing myself to enjoy Sunshine, I figured it out. I was loving it. It just took time to learn what the game had to offer. And then there's Galaxy.
It has got to have the worst controls out of any 3D Mario platformer.
There's no FLUDD from Sunshine and no punch from 64 that lets you dive and kick and roll, so you're kinda just running around and jumping with basic Mario moves and the little spin thing. Oh, and I guess you can play Duck Hunt with the star bits, but that doesn't really count.
This game is honestly barely even a platformer, and I think it's my favorite Mario game.
After quite some time of focusing on Mario 64, I started going into every Mario game expecting that same platforming, so I pretty much set myself up for disappointment.
Every mainline Mario game is great in its own right, but the platforming is never the same across two games, and it isn't even always the focus.
This sounds strange to me. I mean, it's a platformer, so if the platforming isn't great, the game isn't great, right?
Well, let me say something a little controversial. Gameplay is overrated.
Imagine one of your favorite games, but in black and white and low poly. That would friggin' suck. No music, no visuals, not even a suggestion of where you are or why or how or what's going on.
So pretty much imagine Bubsy 3D.
Sure, it could still be fun to an extent. Tetris doesn't have much beyond its gameplay, but you have to admit, turning down the volume and playing the Game Boy version with no color is kind of a sad way to play it.
I myself believe that gameplay and graphics both matter as much as they're needed to make a game a great experience.
Some games rely more on graphics than gameplay, and obviously some put more effort into gameplay than graphics.
So why am I saying all of this? Because Mario Galaxy's gameplay sucks.
No, actually Mario Galaxy's gameplay is incredible, but it was clearly handled differently than previous Mario titles.
The gameplay here feels much more decentralized. It's like a series of mini-games or something.
Mechanic after mechanic are constantly introduced and bridged with wacky platforming sections. It feels like every third level is a boss fight, which is not a complaint. These fights are so much fun. But what holds all of this together is without a doubt the atmosphere. But there is no atmosphere.
Mario Galaxy takes place in space, or as it's more commonly called, nothing.
To make your game take place in a vast expanse of nothing is kind of a bold choice. Most games that take place in nothing find a way to make it substantial still. They keep you in a spaceship or something like that.
It isn't often that you see a game that just lets you float around in space, because you know, that would kind of suck. But Miyamoto said, what if instead of nothing, there was something? Like a bunch of stuff all over the place.
Super Mario Galaxy achieved something I can't say I've ever seen in a game. It makes exploring space actually fun. It isn't just a loading screen between two boring planets that are basically the same anyways. No, you don't even need to go to the planets to have fun. Even empty space here can't help but be full of creativity. And despite each level being pretty linear, the magic of flying from one piece of space junk to the next without any kind of vehicle or breathing apparatus is just such a dreamlike freedom. This freedom emanates every moment of this game, from the level design to the constant barrage of new mechanics to the amazing soundtrack.
Every one of these galaxies has such an awesome personality.
To start with, they each have a unique skybox. These are geniusly crafted to make space feel expansive and magical, but still keep the player somewhat grounded. Oftentimes there will be a horizon and what looks like a sun on it. Obviously there is no horizon in space, but having one here not only works to make space feel more worldly, but also to give the player some bearings as to where they're oriented.
I'd imagine it would be super confusing to run around an object with no idea where you are relative to your surroundings.
Reference points like the horizon basically help let you know when you're on the top or bottom of something. But not every skybox is a starry night sky like you might expect. Some of them have nothing to do with space at all.
That's another thing that makes Super Mario Galaxy such a great space game. It doesn't feel the need to shove space in your face with every level.
Some levels just take place in the sky or in a desert. Toy Time Galaxy, for example, takes place inside of a giant toy room, but it still retains the idea of carrying weightless freedom across many space-apart points of matter. Mario feels like a neuron firing through dozens of ideas spread throughout an endless universe, a slow-motion journey through thought, focusing on distinct concepts, mind and universe melded together into a vast realm of pure freedom and creativity. This game is nothing but an absolute masterpiece.
Okay, maybe I got a little carried away, but it's so good.
Toy Time Galaxy is actually one of my favorite galaxies. It's so fun to see where they're going to take the toy theme as you work your way through.
There are so many imaginative galaxy themes, which are again rarely related to space, but they still feel natural.
It's as if each of these galaxies is a microcosm of some world you've yet to discover, like a sample tray of everything that this universe has to offer.
This game must have given the designers so much freedom. They were pretty much unrestricted with their concepts and level designs.
And all of these galaxies are elevated even further by the countless music tracks that each fit their environment perfectly. Levels that have more of a space theme feel full of wonder and excitement, or maybe they feel somber and isolated. Whereas the levels with a less spacey theme don't concern themselves with having a spacey sounding track, like Beach Bowl Galaxy's fun tropical music.
So much was done right with this game. Other than the random severe difficulty spikes, the relentless volley of pop-ups when completing a level or exiting the game, and Dusty Dune Galaxy, this game is perfect.
I'm not sure I've ever been more excited to explore a game level by level as I have with Super Mario Galaxy. The anticipation of opening a new galaxy and finding out where you'll go next is incredible.
Super Mario Galaxy really was one of a kind. Wait.